Many have said that adversity builds character. Well, if that's true, then this next artist stands on the Rock of Gibraltar. When the R&B soul group The Tavares released their 1970s hit, Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel, they might have been prophesizing the forthcoming of the beautiful Miss Anita Baker. In the years prior to her arrival, music had become a bit stagnant. Sure, there was Chaka, Aretha, Patti, Whitney, Janet, and a few others making noise, but with the success of the tandem of Grover Washington Jr. and Bill Withers' major hit, Just the Two of Us, at the start of the 1980s, the smooth jazz genre door had been open, and even a few R&B, soul, and pop singers had dipped their feet into the water. But by the mid-1980s, there wasn't a voice to personify this growing venue. Our story begins on January 26, 1958 in Toledo, Ohio, when little Anita Denise Baker came forth into the world. This young lady discovered very early on in life that, in the words of one of her hits, life was definitely not a fairy tale. This harsh reality hit home when she was given up by her mother at the tender age of 2 years old, and thus raised by foster parents until they both died when she was only 12 years old. Thankfully, her foster sister raised her from the age of 12 as a surrogate parent until she reached adulthood. These harsh circumstances could have easily become a conduit for drugs, alcoholism, along with many other self-destructive behaviors for many children. But this would not be the case for young Anita, who, if anything, used these conditions as motivational fuel to grow above and beyond them. At the age of 16, she was already performing in clubs and cultivating her vocal skills. She joined a band called Chapter 8, who signed shortly after with Ariola Records in 1979. While the group had minor success, it was short-lived, when the label was bought by Arista Records and the execs felt that the young singer's voice and style lacked commercial appeal. This obvious display of musical incompetence should come as no surprise. Far too many record execs are blinded by dollars and cents as opposed to envisioning creative potential. Nevertheless, Anita returned home to work as a waitress as well as a receptionist. Shortly after, she was contacted by a former associate of Ariola who offered her a deal as a soloist on his Beverly Glen record label. In 1983, Anita Baker released her first solo LP entitled The Songstress, and 4 singles followed: No More Tears, Will You Be Mine, Angel, and You're the Best Thing Yet. Angel, the latter song, was the breakthrough hit and reached the R&B Top 5 Singles chart. The follow-up single also cracked the top 40, and the stage was set. And for Anita, the best was yet to come. As with so many up-and-coming artists, Anita found herself in a battle with her own record label, who refused to pay her the royalties she'd earned. Eventually, she did win the case, as well as her freedom to sign with another record label. She signed with Elektra Records, which was a Warner Music Group subsidiary, in 1985. She impressed the execs here so well that they gave her creative and production control over her first album. Anita knew a good thing when she experienced it, and so she enlisted the talents of former bandmate from the group Chapter 8, Michael J. Powell. She and Powell had good chemistry before, and she gambled, albeit against the record execs who desired someone with more recognition and experience. However, the young songstress ignored their suggestions, stuck to her guns, and the result was a fantastic album simply entitled Rapture. When the first single, Watch Your Step, failed to generate a buzz, naturally there were some nervous smiles, clenched hands, and teeth at the label. But those nervous smiles quickly turned to happiness and giggles upon the success of her second single, Sweet Love, which catapulted to the number 8 position on the Billboard Hot 100, as well as also cracking the top 20 in the UK. Just like that, Anita went from just another voice in the crowd to the voice above the crowd. Follow-up singles Caught Up in the Rapture, No One in the World, and Same Old Love 365 Days a Year only solidified that this young lady had quickly become a force in the music business to be reckoned with. But something else had taken place as well. As previously stated, thanks to several jazz artists, particularly the successful efforts of the legendary jazz saxophonist Mr. Grover Washington Jr., who influenced many other jazz musicians to venture into a new genre called progressive or smooth jazz. It had become known for some time that there was a market for this new style. However, thus far, only musicians had taken up this bold step. The style lacked a presence, an image, and most of all a voice. And Miss Anita Baker filled all 4 phases perfectly. She had the presence, she had the image, she had the style, and yes indeed, she had the voice. Some say her voice had the silky, velvet touch similar to that of the late Sarah Vaughan, while others said she possessed the touch of the late Billie Holiday. But most just said she was damn good. Her silky, soulful, jazzy style was greatly welcomed to an audience that desired class and sexy sophistication. Her follow-up album, Giving You the Best That I Got, was released on October 1988 and picked up right where the previous album had left off. The self-titled single climbed to the number 1 position on the Billboard Hot 100 and hit number 1 on the R&B and adult contemporary charts as well. This song became her biggest and most successfully charted single. The public had spoken, and she was now recognized as the queen of smooth jazz. The follow-up singles, Just Because, cracked the top 20 on the pop chart, while a third single, Lead Me Into Love, reached the top 10 on the R&B chart. The album compositions, released in 1990, continued her streak of excellence. The singles Talk to Me, Soul Inspiration, and Fairy Tales all sold over 1 million copies. Anita Baker was hot, and she fully understood what her fans wanted from her. On this album, she ventured a bit further into the progressive side of jazz and had firmly established herself as one of the top artists in the music industry. It almost seemed like nothing could slow her momentum down until something did. In 1991, and still with all the momentum going in her favor, Miss Anita Baker did the unthinkable for most artists in this position. She went on hiatus to become Mrs. Anita Baker Bridgeforth and started a family. Ironically, her soulful progressive jazz sister across the pond, Sade, also went on a hiatus at this time to start a family as well. And just like that, the voices of this genre went silent. After establishing her family unit, Anita went back to work and soon realized that her seat at the head of the smooth jazz table she vacated 3 years earlier was still quite warm. She appeared on the Frank Sinatra Duets album and soon after released Rhythm of Love in 1994. This album was well received by a hungry public that long awaited the return of their quiet storm diva and sent her first release, Body and Soul, right up into the top 40 of the pop charts. I Apologize, her follow-up single, earned her another Grammy Award and helped to eventually make the Rhythm of Love LP her 4th consecutive platinum-selling album. What set Anita Baker above many of her contemporaries is her patient understanding to never push the envelope and never force a good thing. While pushing the envelope might have worked well for many, she allowed her fans to savor her flavor, so to speak, and it is why she continues to be beloved and well remembered by so many today. She's released several albums since Rhythm of Love. Most noteworthy are My Everything, released in 2004, Christmas Fantasy, 2005, and lately, 2012. It is also worth mentioning here that the My Everything recording carried her back to the top of the charts even after a 10-year hiatus and earned her another gold album. Such a massive array of achievements is simply too much to reveal here in this small space. I wholeheartedly encourage all to continue to discover more detailed accounts of this fantastic woman's commitment to excellence. Here is a short sample of some of her major accomplishments. She received a total of 17 nominations for a Grammy Award, for which she has won 8. She was nominated for 9 American Music Awards and won 4. She was nominated 12 times for a Soul Train Music Award and won a total of 7. She received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1994 and won the Canadian Smooth Jazz Award for International Artist of the Year. Throughout her illustrious career, Anita Denise Baker has done so many beautiful things, but of all the things she's accomplished and done, one thing remains consistent. She has and continues to give us the very best that she's got.